My name is Casey Lang, and this video is being posted in response to the assignment at the end of Chapter 11 where you're asked to resolve a conflict between two coworkers. Now, I'd like to stress before I begin that this situation is completely hypothetical. The names are made up. I just wouldn't want it to reflect on my company or anybody that I work with now. So that being said, you have two workers that have come into your office repeatedly with either perceived or actual problems with another person that they work with. Let's call the first worker Thomas and the second worker Rick. So Thomas and Rick have this continued history. Now hopefully as a human resource manager I will have documented everything. And also it is extremely important that you distinguish whether or not this specific conflict is illegal. If it's illegal, your course of action is completely different. You contact the higher ups, you separate the workers immediately, you may even have to call the police and get them involved. So that being said, Thomas comes into my office and is upset that Rick has been working too slow and that his workload has been unfairly increased because Thomas has to make up for what Rick isn't able to accomplish in his shift. Now this is a reasonable reasonable problem. I mean, I can understand it. So first I'd say, okay, I'm gonna talk to Rick. I'm gonna see his point of view, and then we'll try to come up with a solution from there. So I call Rick in, and I say it's been brought to my attention that you haven't been unloading the freight quick enough. Now, as a parenthetical statement, I'd like to point out that if you can conceal the identity, which may be difficult at a job where it's such a low number of staff, then you should try. But if it's impossible, it may be all right to use the actual name. So Thomas has let me know, Rick, that you haven't been working quick enough, and that he has to make up for what you don't do during his time. So then I would ask, what's your view on this? Most of the time, workers will have a completely reasonable explanation, even though it may not be in the overall best interest of everyone. It's still reasonable. So let's say that Rick says, well, I like things to be neat. When I move the 2 pallets that I move a night, you'll notice that the aisles look fantastic. Everything's flush with the shelf, faced, they're in the right spot. It looks really good. And as somebody who overall has the best interests of the store in mind, along with the well-being of your employees, I would say, well, that is pretty reasonable. So I'd say, okay, again, conciliatory, and I would say, would you mind if we brought both of you in to talk about this? I would make sure that I cleared that idea with both of them first. So then I would bring them in, and in that interim time, I will have established something that's a reasonable expectation between both of them. Actually, not just one. I would probably have multiple. But I would call them in, and I'd say, the reason that he is not moving as quickly as you would like is his work is meticulous and it, quite frankly, looks great. And I think it's something that benefits the store and our overall revenue. But I also see your perspective that you're having to work that much harder. So what I'm going to propose is that Rick, we'd love it if you picked up the pace just a little bit. I think that is an improvement that would just be expected as an employee that is gaining more and more experience. I would just hope that you would get quicker but maintain the same quality of your work. So let's aim for 2.5 pallets, maybe even 3 instead of 2. And Thomas, on the other hand, if he has finished his 2 pallets and it looks great but hasn't helped you enough, we'll try to provide extra staffing. I actually wouldn't even mind volunteering to help you finish those as well, so that the work gets done and that overall you feel okay about that. Then I document the conversation I just had, and I would monitor the situation further. Thanks again for your time. Have a nice day.